Welcome to the Filthy Mitts Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Detroit Red Wings need a second-line center. And I'm not talking about Andrew Kopp. I'm talking about a bona fide 1 or 2C. Players that move the frickin' needle. I'm talking about Auston Matthews, Connor Bedard, Robert Thomas, and Elias Pettersson. And look, I know we've already talked about these guys. But today, we're going to take a deep dive into just how realistic these moves actually are and what it would cost to get them. Now, I know that some of you are thinking, I've lost my damn mind. And maybe I have. But let's start with Auston Matthews. We're talking about one of the best goal scorers of his generation. A franchise center, a guy that instantly changes your power play, your top six, your whole playoff outlook, everything. The problem? The cost would be absolutely insane. You're probably talking multiple first-round picks, 1 or 2 elite prospects, and likely an NHL roster player on top of that. Now, would I do it? Honestly, I'm not sure. Let me ask you guys. For that NHL player, would you give up Lucas Raymond? How about Mo Seider? Because that's what it would probably take. Now, don't get me wrong, your center depth would be incredible. But now you just made a huge hole on defense or on the wing. Now, even if you make this move, the other problem is Auston Matthews would have to want to be here. So even if you think it's worth it, even if you can pull off this trade with Leafs management, it still doesn't happen unless Auston Matthews says so. My honest opinion, I think the Leafs do trade Auston Matthews after the 2027 season. But I think he goes somewhere warm, to a place that has no income tax, or to a true contender. Unfortunately, the Wings don't check any of those boxes, you guys. So we can check Auston Matthews off of the list. Now, next up, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Connor Bedard. The kid is only scratching the surface of what he's going to become. All right, he instantly becomes your number 1 center, which means Larkin is your 2C. Now, can you imagine that? If you could pull this off, this would be the most exciting moment we've seen in Detroit sports, maybe in decades. And part of the reason is you don't have to give up anyone to get him. You get to keep your prospects. You get to hang on to your Lucas Raymonds and your Mo Seiders, because the way you get Connor Bedard is through an offer sheet. What's the cost? It's 4 first-round picks, you guys. But here's the problem. In order for Chicago to not match your offer, you would have to make an offer so incredibly insane that Chicago says, yeah, you know what? You can just have them. We're out. I'm talking $20 million a year. And honestly, Chicago still might match it. And now you look like a scumbag too. But let's just pretend they don't. All right, congratulations, you got Connor Bedard. But as exciting as that is, you're also now in cap hell. Now, I'm not saying you can't make it work. All right, you could move on from the Kopps, the Compers, the Rasmussens. But eventually, the bill's going to come due. Sacrifices will be made. So would you do it? Me personally, I'm all in. All right, I would do it in a heartbeat. If the cap keeps going up, in 4 or 5 years, his contract might not be that bad. Who knows? But realistically, this is incredibly unlikely, you guys. So if not Bedard, and if not Auston Matthews, then why not Robert Thomas? We've talked about him a lot, you guys. He's only 26, point-per-game guy, great defensively, and has one of the best contracts in the league. He solves your center depth problems immediately. Now, he's not Connor Bedard or Auston Matthews, but that doesn't mean you can't win a cup with him. And St. Louis said at the trade deadline, this guy is available. So what's the problem? Well, for starters, the asking price is outrageous. St. Louis wants the equivalent of 4 first-round picks, which is insane. That's an Auston Matthews kind of return, all right? But the Blues aren't dumb. They know that they have all the leverage. He's got a lot of term, so they don't have to move him at all. And they know that number one centers are a huge premium. They're almost impossible to get. So if you want Robert Thomas, you bet your ass you're going to pay for him. Now, would I do it? Honestly, yeah, I would. Call me crazy, but they can have 2 firsts and 2 prospects of their choice. Now, is that enough to get it done? Who the hell knows? At the end of the day, Thomas would have to agree to come here. All right? And that might be the biggest hurdle for every guy on this list. But I can tell you this much. If you're able to get Robert Thomas here, this Red Wings team is starting to look pretty damn good. Now, how realistic is this move? All right? It's more realistic than Matthews or Bedard, but it stings a lot. Personally, I don't expect to see Robert Thomas in a Wings wheel. All right? But I think that we still have some hope here, you guys, because there is still one guy left on this list, and that player is none other than Elias Pettersson. Now, before you guys lose your damn minds, I'm aware that he's making $12 million a year, okay? I'm aware that the last 2 seasons, he fell off a cliff. But I'm also aware that he's 27 years old. He's broke the 100-point mark. And right now, his stock is as low as it's ever been. It's risky, guys. But sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit. He's been playing on a bad team with bad line mates. If he comes to Detroit, he'll be playing with guys like Raymond and DeBrincat. And if he's even 80% of what he was, then he's a massive upgrade over someone like Andrew Kopp. And to be completely honest here, the Wings don't have a lot of options. All right? The cost would also be a fraction of what you'd pay for these other guys. Now, I know you guys aren't going to like this, but I do think that Pettersson is by far the most likely player on this list to come to Detroit. And honestly, I'm not against it. I actually think it's pretty exciting. Now, if it happens, could it blow up in our faces? Absolutely. But that's a risk I'm willing to take. I'll leave you guys with this. All right, I truly hope the Wings offer sheet the living shit out of Connor Bedard. But if they don't, I hope they risk it for the biscuit and go get Elias Pettersson. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. And if you like this type of hockey content, give us a follow. This is the Filthy Mitts Podcast. I'm out.